Bueno, es un placer tener a Matt Killingsworth en el CESA. Welcome to CESA Business School, Matt. It's a pleasure for us to have you here. And we want to ask you some questions about happiness.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here.
Thank you very much. What are your thoughts about happiness and how can we learn about that thoughts?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the way I think about happiness, the reason I'm interested in it is I think happiness is really the ultimate thing that everyone wants. The reason we want a particular job or a place to live or the many things that we might aspire to in our lives is ultimately because we want to be happy and we think that will get us there. And I think if we look at the last development over the last few hundred years, I think we've done a lot to address some of the really basic needs that people have. So providing shelter and medical care and civil rights and freedom and things like that are all very important and probably did a lot to improve people's happiness. I think now we've kind of, I don't know if you're familiar with the innovator's dilemma, kind of the idea of, well, maybe that's a bad road to go down, but kind of what you need changes depending on where you are in the developmental cycle. And I think now we're reaching a point where what we need to further improve our happiness is a different set of advancements. And I think that's what myself and many other scientists are trying to figure out scientifically, what is happiness and how can we actually make people happier.
Okay, and how to convey or to transmit happiness and how to teach it?
Good question. I think most people are very interested in happiness because they want to be happy. And I think we are finding a few different ways to try to teach it. I think there's a very individual focused way. I mean, there's a lot that a single person can do. So thinking about what are the habits and behaviors and decisions that that person can make, day by day. How do they treat other people with compassion or not? And I think as people become more sophisticated, they also start paying attention to those things very carefully during their daily lives. That's the individual. But there's also a lot that we can do at higher levels of organization. So within corporations, obviously, there's a lot that you can do to manage the team, to manage a division, to manage the entire company. Also, how you relate to the customers is very important. And finally, I think in society, the government, and there are another set of decisions that we can make there in terms of how much are we going to invest in education or minimizing unemployment, other things that we know are important for happiness.
Basically, one of the things happens to me. It's the approach is or the question people ask me is if being a teacher or a teacher of happiness is difficult. For me, probably anyone could do that. But being an example of happiness, it's really the challenge for me. What do you think about that that thing to be an example of?
Yeah, it's interesting. So if a person were studied physiology and maybe they help train athletes, you wouldn't necessarily expect the physiologist to be an exceptional athlete. I think it is a little bit different with happiness, where because you are offering insights that you think are true about how to achieve happiness, it's expected that you must be very happy also. And I think that is probably true for you, and I think it's probably true for me. But I think part of the reason that people aren't as happy as they could be is because it's challenging to be human. We have imperfections, and I think no matter who you are, you still are going to have to deal with those same things. So I do think it gives us a big advantage the more we know, but you still have to work at it.
What is the role of the family, the friends, the health, also the sports in the pursuit of happiness?
All of those are very important, actually, and have at least the potential to add a lot of happiness. If human beings are anything, they're highly social. And so the relationships we have with other people, whether it's our family or friends, or even just the people that we see out in the world, is incredibly important. I find in my research, basically, the more time you're able to spend in deep interactions with other people, there's a big positive effect on happiness. Of course, you also want to have enduring relationships and people you can rely on in times of need. So that's another important dimension. Family is important, of course. You mentioned sports. So when I look at my data and what are some of the very most predictive things of how happy someone is, and one of the strongest predictors, far more important than income, is physical activity. So that turns out to be quantitatively incredibly powerful. And actually, if you drill in within that, sports are the single biggest thing. Probably because they're more intense and they're also social, which, as I've just said, is also very beneficial.
Being in a business school and talking about business, what it's in your experience the indicators that high or low the most when people is happy in the organization?
Like, how would you measure happiness in the organization?
Yes, but which are the indicators or the topics, the things you measure and the highest impact in the organization?
Yeah. So I think there is a lot of importance in the relationships between people in the organization. If people have compassion for each other, if people have empathy for each other, if people have respect for each other, they can trust other people, that's incredibly important. And when that is missing, that's a big problem. A big topic that I've been thinking a lot about lately that I think is especially an issue today with technology and everything that's changing is also kind of how we manage our attention over the course of the day. I think a lot of people get interrupted a lot by other people, by emails, by things like that. People have a lot of things on their list to do, and sometimes it's challenging to make the best use of your time, and I think in some ways we've made that more difficult for people now rather than easier. And I think, I don't know, I haven't seen a lot of organizations that have really figured that problem out, but I feel like that's going to be a big one that people are going to be sorting through. Kind of how can we do more to help structure people's time so that they're working on the things they need to be working on, they want to be working on, they can feel fully engaged and immersed and excited about that, and kind of have the appropriate management of all of the other interruptions and other sort of intrusive things that could be sort of breaking their sustained focus on what they need to do.
Okay, thank you, Matt, and thank you to share your ideas with us. Very inspirational. Thank you very much.
It's my honor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.